Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I'm primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, bass vocalist, and lately have relaunched my podcast, Vocal Arts with Peter Barber. Very exciting and some wonderful guests coming up, so definitely check that out. Today we're going to be watching the official HD music video for SystemOfADown, Toxicity, and I'm going to give you guys my first time reaction for this, and of course a lot of analysis, mostly vocal analysis, as that's where my expertise lies, but I will be pausing a lot to talk about the vocal technique. So if you'd rather watch the video straight through and then come back to learn more about what's happening vocally and musically, I will leave a link below so you can watch the original video and then come on back to this channel to learn a thing or two. Guys, my goal here really is to provide you as much value and enjoyment and education and entertainment as possible. So that's the goal here. If you do find that I'm doing that, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $3 a month. It is by far the best possible way to support me as an artist. Other than that, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And without further ado, let's check out SystemOfADown, Toxicity. All right, before we get into it, let me grab my iPad. I forgot to get my iPad because I need to be able to identify pitch. We simply must have pitch, Watson. And I use my little janky iPad keyboard to establish pitch, which means I often hit the wrong notes because the keys are microscopic. Beep, boop, bop, beep, boop. Boom, there we go. Also, one other update, I did just drop a significant amount of money to get a super nice webcam and a super nice recording microphone for these videos and for my interviews, which is very exciting. So big shout out to the Patreon for making that possible. Very excited. That should be here in a couple days, and then we'll be shooting with that from now on. But all right, let's go back to the start here. We just got some acoustic guitar in some minor key. C minor. Just guitar. I like how they go in and out of basically two different kind of rhythm structures here. This first one is, and then they go in da 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 da, and then it kind of swings a little bit. It's like a rather subtle change, but also based on like how much instrumentation they have filling out with these heavy guitars, kind of filling out that background foundation. It gives a really cool contrast going back and forth. Look at these absolutely killer facial hair, and this is just like, when was this song? This must have come out in the 90s, right? I think this video is 13 years old on YouTube, which is going to put it at 2010, but I believe SystemOfADown was becoming bigger back in the 90s or early 2000s, late 90s. Y'all can fact check me there. I have heard some of their music before. I actually really like hard rock and metal stuff. I don't know if this is quite hard metal or hard rock. What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. What genre is this? All right, kind of back to how we started the intro, but now there's drums with that acoustic guitar and drum for the most part, and sustained bass, of course. So we're going from low C, that's C2, up to E flat 2. And I guess kind of going between the relative minor and major, right? So we have C minor, and I believe it goes up to E flat major. So we have... So I'm talking about these keys are impossible to play. Actually, I don't think it is going to E flat major. Anyway, let's actually talk about the voice, because that's what I'm here for.
Conversion, software version 7.0. Looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub.
All right, so starting this off pretty breathy, pretty intimate, right? So this lead singer, not going for any kind of powerful singing yet, taking a very light, kind of intimate approach, which of course gives us a ton of contrast to go to vocally. If you start off, guns blazing, it doesn't leave the voice much. It doesn't really give it a place to kind of climax or build towards, which we usually get in like the final chorus of a kind of standardly arranged song. So we have a nice intimate approach to the voice here, relaxing on the vocal fold closure, which literally means, the vocal folds are coming together like this in a healthy phonation. If there's more air escaping, the sound is going to be breathier. And if there's less air escaping, the sound is going to be more efficient. It's likely going to be louder, and it's going to have a lot more high harmonic content. So basically how that translates to your ears, it's a lot more cut, a lot more squealo, and kind of brightness in the sound. As an opera singer, this is what we want throughout our entire vocal range. Maximum efficiency, maximum power, because we have to sing against orchestra with no microphones. There's no amplification in traditional opera. So that's something we think about a lot, this vocal fold closure.
Conversion, software version 7.0. Looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub.
So you can hear him actually bringing more of that closure into the sound. You actually might even be able to hear some of my neighbors practicing right now. I'm currently at an opera program in California. But there's more vocal fold closure, and you can't tell true volume, of course, in this setting because it's recorded, it's compressed. You can only tell what would likely be louder and softer based on the timbre and the kind of vocal color we get. But of course, when a sound is compressed, everything soft sounds just as loud through your headphones as a sound that was, loud in the room, for example. So you can have a very soft kind of intimate singing that sounds just as loud to your ear as like a full-on belt because of the compression and the audio engineering in post-production, as they say. But check out the end of this first kind of vocal verse. You can hear that the vocal folds are coming together better. There's a more powerful sound just starting to creep out. This is, of course, not getting nearly towards the top end of power. I'm just pointing out the difference between where he starts this first phrase and where he finishes it vocally. And yes, I do talk a lot, and yes, I do a lot of analysis. That's the whole point.
Software version 7.0.
So pretty breathy, pretty intimate.
Looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub.
So that one, he gets a little more power in there by the end of that phrase.
Eating seeds is a pastime activity. The toxicity of our city.
So already, judging from those drum fills, we're about to rev it up, but already we're getting a little bit more of that vocal fold closure, getting a little more brightness in the sound, getting a little more what would be true volume in the sound if we were listening in person, unamplified, unrecorded, no post-processing. I love this singer's vibrato. He has like this very, so vibrato, something interesting is if you're singing healthily, people have different vibrato rates. Some people's are much faster, some people's are slower. You can, of course, train them a little bit to get faster based on airflow and other, kind of how much tension you have in your vocal tract and so on. And you can actually slow down your vibrato in the same way. And you can also slow down your vibrato in an unhealthy way, which means over a long period of time, you have put too much strain essentially on the system, and you can develop what's called a wobble. This will sometimes happen to older opera singers once they've been singing for too long or put their voice into too big of repertoire. You'll kind of get the and that's because the muscles there have kind of lost a little bit of that fine tuning and control. This singer has very quick vibrato, naturally a very fast vibrato speed.
This is a pastime activity, the toxicity of our city.
So I can kind of try to imitate it, but his natural vibrato is much faster than mine. Toxicity. I kind of have to force mine to speed up to match his.
The toxicity of our city, of our city. Yo! What do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Disorder! No! Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep.
This is great. This is really cool. So you can tell what's really cool about this singer is that he opens up to this like powerful kind of yell style singing in his upper chest voice, where we're getting a lot of grit and turbulence in the vocal folds. So there's extra air coming through. Instead of the vocal folds going really smoothly, they're kind of whacking a little bit. That's when you get this grit in the sound, if the grit is coming from the true folds, as opposed to like false fold phonation grit, which is a whole different thing. But then he will go back to a very clean phonation, just a couple words later. So intentional or just driven by the emotion he's trying to put in the song, we're getting two very different styles of phonation in the same vocal range with kind of the same power output, but the actual vocal folds they're operating differently. So just pay attention to that, timbre shift back and forth here. Grit, 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 grit. Then somewhere between that silence, all like very clean phonation, as opposed to the grit we were hearing a second before and after. Sleep, and then really clean phonation on that word sleep while he does that little riff. Sleep. So let's see. So he's just ripping it on high G's there. The G below tenor high C, but a high note in chest voice for a natural male voice for sure. We're getting so many different cool colors from this singer. We are getting this tons of grit, and then we're getting this beautiful, like super efficient sound as well. It's just really interesting to hear him jumping back and forth and so smoothly as well. It's awesome. That was the other thing. I had another comment. Something else that's really cool, and I think, if I remember correctly, this is a kind of a staple of their music. The vocals, of course, there's always going to be some effects, especially like compression, but there's no atmosphere around them in post-processing. Usually you get reverb, room sound, echoes, delay. These vocals are recorded so raw, and it just sounds like very similar to what it would have sounded like, right after he recorded in the booth. Just like very raw sounds, none of this atmosphere, none of this reverb. So it just sounds like he's just like right in your face in like a soundproof setting doing these lines. It's really interesting and pretty rare in recorded music.
Between the sacred silence and sleep, Disorder! Disorder! Disorder!
Fascinating.
More wood for their fires, loud neighbors, flashlight reveries caught in the headlights of a truck.
So basically same vocal style as we started the song, much more intimate, breathy, no power behind the voice, just very easy. And just I want to flag something that's cool about this post-processing and audio engineering. Like these drums, this guy hammering away on the drum set would be so much louder than this soft, intimate singing. Like if they were all singing live, singer has no microphone, it's just singer and drum set hammering away, you wouldn't hear a single word. It just look like this singer is just mouthing the words. But because you record these things a certain way and balance them differently, we hear this soft, intimate singing perfectly clearly in the mix while we hear this crisp drum set, going ham in the background, and there's no issue of balance. It's a really cool thing that you don't think about unless you're in that world. If you're watching a video, of course, also lip synced. Obviously, all these are synced. We're not getting the audio from the video shoot session. We're getting the audio from the professional recording session, and it's all synced up. That's how 99.9% of professional music videos work. But just cool to point that out, to see how much that audio engineering and post-processing can affect the balance of the various elements.
Eating seeds as a pastime activity.
I love sunflower seeds.
The toxicity of our city, of our city. No! What do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Disorder! No! Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep.
So this chorus is very similar. So structurally, vocally, as far as technique is concerned, basically a repeat of the first verse and chorus is what we're getting. I just want to point out, to piggyback off what I was saying a minute ago, even when the singer is ripping it, belting super high or singing with that grit, if the drum set's hammering away, you still probably wouldn't be able to hear them without a microphone and all this balancing stuff. So even though he's singing way louder now, drum sets are crazy loud. I don't know if you guys have been near a drum set when someone is ripping on it, but it is significantly loud. To overpower a drum set, you would need a very powerful voice or a lot of proper training. Like, I'd be interested to see actually how like a pro opera singer would stack up against a drum set. That would actually be ding. I'm gonna flag that for later. That could be an interesting experiment to run. Drum sets are loud, TLDR.
Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep.
That was a slight difference, I think, from the first chorus, right? That little breakdown.
Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Disorder.
I love the drum fill where it's just the drum. That's like one of my favorite kinds of drum fills, is when everything else cuts out. It's just and then everything else comes back in.
Disorder.
Just for a second. Just for a couple beats. Oh, shit. I love it. I don't know if you guys have been in mosh pits before. I've never been in a mosh pit where people are like intentionally trying to cause damage, like punching each other and breaking bones and stuff. I've been in like EDM mosh pits where it's just like a lot of really hard shoving, but no one's trying to like actually hurt anyone. I don't really have much interest in getting like punched in the face during a show. But I love the energy. I do absolutely love the absolute madness energy of this breakdown where drums are going crazy, guitars are going crazy. I love the of course, the body language, which is part of the performance in this style, you know. It's phenomenal. Love every bit of it. Won't spend too much time commenting on it, trying to focus on the voice, but love it. It really is just bass drums and then this heavy distorted guitar. And pretty raw. Up to a high, he is getting up to a high B flat there, just below tenor high C. So notice how instead of order, he really opens up to, it's more like an ah vowel. Once you get up that high in your high chest range, you really do want to be opening up vowels more to like a this kind of position, and it just helps the voice, helps the phonation. So instead of, I don't know what the words are, order, it's like arder. It's much more like an ah to help get that super high chest note out. Oh, he's saying disard. So instead of disorder, disarder. So that's more of like a forced vibrato there. He's not letting it spin naturally. He's like kind of forcing it to kind of add to that, you know, grit emotion. A nice natural, healthy vibrato just wouldn't quite do this genre justice, I don't think, in this moment. Okay, before that, I just want to see that. That was a really cool, just music video aspect. Is it repeating or is it like a huge line of people? I think it's repeating.
When I became the sun that shone life into the man's heart. When I became the sun that shone life into the man's heart.
I love this little tag at the end. It's like just 5 seconds of like a, you know, kind of a different lyrics, of course, and like a different musical structure slightly.
When I became the sun that shone life into the man's heart. When I became the sun that shone life into the man's heart.
And then it's over. Man, that was awesome. That was super fun. I haven't historically done much hard rock or metal, but I love the music. I love the style. I've listened to this genre for at least 10 years now, you know, probably longer if I think back. So big fan of it, and it's very interesting because some of the most incredible voices in the world, for sure, are with rock and metal groups. No question. Just like absolutely a lot of underrated talent. You don't think about vocal technique and skill as much sometimes in this kind of thing. You think it's more like a visceral kind of feeling. It's like the experience. But some of these voices are just world class talent. Really fun to comment on from a scientific standpoint, especially. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, if I added value to your System of a Down experience, please do consider joining my Patreon for as low as $3 a month. Greatly appreciate the support. Thank you all for helping me get to 100,000. As you can see, this is the first video ever with the 100,000 YouTube award on the wall. Very exciting. Thank you guys for the support. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, leave any thoughts below. I do read them all, so leave those below. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.